Welcome to Moose Crew, everybody. Today we got a great, fresh start after the big move and after being isolated in house. When else would be a better time to start kicking up the reviews again? This time I decided to approach it with a different sort of method. Instead of going from one of my favorites and working my way down, we're going numerical. We're doing first FireDrive. He's the WFC, War for Cybertron, -S01 for Siege, first figure of the line. He is what you call a Battlemaster, and has a very, I need to cut my fingernail. He is a Battlemaster class, which is like a smaller version than Legends, as if you're going off the scale. It's more of a War for Cybertron, changes the scale, especially at the higher end. But we'll discuss that in the future when we talk about leader class figures. FireDrive is a 5-step Battlemaster. He has a striking white and black with little dashes of silver and red peppered all over his body. But unfortunately, with his head, let me kind of zoom in on that. You can see the Autobot logo very well, but his eyes and any face detail, you can barely tell that there's separate paint. Oh, my nails look gross. I shouldn't have cut them. They look worse. 5.3 centimeter height and width of 3.4 centimeters. He's a small guy. He's definitely smaller one than the Legends class of yore. All right, so let's get into the articulation of this guy. He is very hard to get a focus on at this size. What's nice about this figure is there's a lot of molding details, and with the War for Cybertron line, something I'll be saying a lot, is that they did a really good job at giving all of the figure a nice detail. But something else you'll notice, they also give the figures some huge gaps in the molding. So as you can see, inside the legs, there's a lot of gap. And the arms, there's some gaps here. While this does make the figure probably easier and cheaper to make, it can make posability and actually the visual appearance of it look kind of empty and shallow. I'm actually curious if the Netflix series will incorporate this, because I know for a fact they're incorporating the combat ports from the deluxe line, and we'll cover that later. You can see the visor has a lighter pink, but this Autobot emblem is really nice. I like how the red pops off the chest. Some nice silver in the middle. Once again, let's focus. Once again, beautiful molding on all the figure. Almost. Focus. Once again, beautiful molding all over this figure. Almost every detail of it is covered in some sort of futuristic Cybertronian detailing, you know, very mech-like, not organic or flat like some of the original G1 toys. I like how the detailing really makes this figure feel alive. It is a genuine work of art, how they did this. Even the smallest and most affordable figure, you can tell they put a lot of work into it. Until you get to the alt mode. As you can see, his arm is on a ball joint with 360 degrees-ish. There we go, clearance. Just kind of have to pull that out to cover up the backpack. Legs are also in the ball joint. They can spread out pretty far. You can do the splits. It goes back as far as the blaster allows. And speaking of blaster, if you detach and pull, come on, get out of there. There we go. You can actually use this as a blaster for himself in robot mode. Goes in pretty deep. It can be done on either side of the arm in these miniature combat ports. Looks a little bit silly, proportionately speaking, but it does make him combat worthy even in the standard robot mode, not limiting his actual role-playing ability to just being a weapon. So if you like to play with your toys and pretend they're actually doing things or story pieces, you can have some combat functionality with the back laser without having to make him nothing more than a Megatron from G1, where, oh, I need to be effective, let me go into gun mode. Wow, that's expensive. So that's a nice change. Ooh, with that blaster off, you can really see how hollow that back is. All right, let's get him back to where he was. Blaster on the back. Transformation sequence is very straightforward, except when it comes to step 3, and we'll go over that later. So step 1, connect the feet at the base. Step 2, simply just lift the blaster above his head. Step 3, now this is the tricky part. The instructions kind of just say, oh, fold the feet over. But what you have to do is not only fold the feet, you have to fold the feet to the point where the hips have to disconnect and then fold upwards. So the more you start pulling on it, ooh, let's fix that, just get in there. Yeah, move that butt cheeks. Oh no, I broke him. Alright. Now he's done like an intense sit-up, or maybe possibly self-fellatio. He is now almost done transforming. But I, myself, and my significant other had a doozy of the time trying to get this part of the transformation to work. It's because the instructions aren't clear that this crotch plate, you have to bend it up. All right, the last part of the transformation sequence is these little holes right here. Use these pegs and they kind of slot in. So go ahead and do that for both. I like to give it a good, nice little, make sure it's nice and tight. I have to give credit to Hashtag because this section right here, when in robot mode, it doesn't look like it's segmented and it's supposed to move. So they gotta get points for that. Because Firestrike is a blaster, let's take a look at how Firestrike looks as a blaster. Let's get old faithful Sideswipe here. Sideswipe here, he has one of the best head molds of this entire line of toys so far. And we'll go more into depth with him later. I believe he's number 9 or 10. I don't know for sure. All right, let's give you a quick upgrade. Sideswipe. You just peg that in there. Wow, there we go. Slides right in. Let's not focus on you. Let's focus on Firestrike. So what I like about Firestrike is he has what looks to me maybe cells or even maybe little rockets or missiles of sort that are embedded into his feet. More than likely this is done to give it maybe a possibility of being able to fly. Unlikely. That or Cybertronians really like their sneakers looking different. And then of course, even in this mode, the molding looks beautiful. It's hard to tell it's a robot. I mean, you can tell with the hands, but just looking at it straight on, it just looks like a very interesting blaster. Now, the cannons are pretty nice. The only problem with them are 2 accessories. Boop, boop. These accessories go on figures, such as on Sideswipe chests. They can simulate, I'm taking battle damage. Or in a combat port, like it's exploding. Or what I actually prefer it to do is be blaster effects. So it looks like Firestrike is shooting out red stuff from his butt. There we go. It's not really his butt, is it? His head. And it looks like blasters shooting out red beams, which is a nice touch with these blasters. Which is something I really like about these blast effects. They look good. I like how the colors are shining through well, and they're actually translucent. Something about if this was a solid color, I wouldn't like it as much, but the fact that it's translucent, I like it. FireDrive is in a blaster mode. It has a new name. Duo Charged Electrostatic Photon Cannon. Electrostatic, I guess he ran around the carpet a lot. I don't get it. Electrostatic. Wait. Is static itself just another form of electricity? So is that like saying electro? Electricity? Oh. That is something I will have to look up. Duo charge electrostatic photon cannon. Because of his ability to be a duo charge, assuming for both barrels, electrostatic photon cannon. These must be photon torpedoes of some sort. A big criticism I have of this figure is that the colors that I like so much, like the small details, are lost in the transformation. You cannot see this nice red or silvers. It's just a bunch of white, even though the molding, it still stands out well. It's just white with a little bit of black in the middle. The least they could have done was done maybe another streak of silver, or maybe some highlights on the sides, on the panels, maybe right here, on the shoulders. The barrel itself, maybe have that with a slightly different color. I don't know. Something I just want to see a bit more color on my blasters. In this robot mode, he looks great. However, this being the first figure in the Siege line, I can easily forgive the paint application if they can expand on it in the future. They have a lot of wasted potential with all this blank canvas. If I had to rate this figure on a numerical scale, I would easily give it a 3 out of 5 for what it is. This is not something I would grade as how would I compare him to Optimus Prime. This is saying like, an okay. I grade it more on as a figure itself, is it average or above average? As a figure itself, is a below average, or a great figure. And it didn't blow me out of the water for what it is. It's very cool, but without that paint application, I don't see how I could give it more than a 3 out of 5. Now, the molding itself makes me want to see more. I want to see more from this line when it comes to these blasters, and I have a feeling I will. Now let's take a look at some poses. How he looks with side swipe. And then, oh. I don't know if there's a problem with him or side swipe at this point, but that is loose. Look how loose, and he dropped it. That really could be either one of them, so I don't know who to place the blame on. If I was truly concerned about it, I could do some of that shoe polish everyone talks about. Shoe polish? Floor polish? We could do some shoe polish too, I suppose, but it wouldn't have the same desired effect in the least bit. They kind of give it a tighter fit. I'll have to see how he, you know what? We got some extra figures in the back. Let's see if he's all wibble wobbly. What these? Ooh, I'm the destroyer of toys. Alright, Spinister. Let's see, are you oh no, that's snug. That's snug. That ain't going anywhere. Alright. Side swipe, he's got some big old holy grips in his hands. So if I'm gonna lacquer up anything with some floor polish, it's gonna be his hands. But I'm fine with it.
And that's been our review. Please enjoy these photos, as I've had a lot of fun taking them, and there's plenty more I'll be showing later. Please subscribe, I'd appreciate it.